On the battlefields of Africa, they called him the god of the Blackfield. Kang Chan was the genius behind the mission to take down Masalan, the leader of the Sunni group. But he was killed by a mysterious bullet from behind. Instead of dying, Kang Chan finds himself 3 years in the past in Korea, reborn as a 19-year-old outcast. Follow Kang Chan on his epic journey to uncover the secrets of his reincarnation and get revenge on his betrayer. The story begins at an African mercenary headquarters. The soldiers there were discussing the fact that they had received intelligence indicating that the head executive of the enemy, with the name Masalan, had arrived at Sector Y for an on-site visit. An officer gave a briefing on a night's mission to the soldiers. According to the officer, he was certain that everyone had reached this conclusion. However, because of the nature of the mission, they were unable to mobilize a large number of troops. The officer went on to say that there were a total of 49 individuals who were a part of the mission, which consisted of 5 different squads. When asked if they would have access to air support, one of the soldiers inquired. The general was questioned by another soldier who inquired about the number of hostile troops. The response from the general was that it would be somewhere between 350 and 500. The soldiers began to converse with one another, which prompted the general to take notice and inform them that they ought to be aware that the objective of the mission was not to take control of the area. As soon as it was established that Masalan had passed away, they were to immediately stop firing and retract their position. The general became enraged when the soldiers continued to interrupt him, and he ordered them to pay attention to what he was saying. When the soldiers urged him to continue his speech, the general responded by explaining that he would normally have more to say, but that he would let it pass this time because it was a very special day for everyone. The gathering was then adjourned. A military truck was used to transport the soldiers to the location of their mission. Once they arrived, their officer requested that they disembark from the truck because they were going to march from that location. Due to the fact that they were leaving in 5 minutes, the officer gave them instructions to check their weapons one more time and to smoke one last cigarette if they so desired. Following the completion of their final cigarette, they began to move cautiously onward. It was about 2 kilometers away from their destination, and everything was going smoothly up until the point where the captain started to feel uneasy. During the conversation that he was having with a soldier, they were attacked. The soldier asked him what was wrong. During the battle, one of their soldiers named Smithan was hit by a bullet. After noticing that the adversary was even employing grenade launchers, the captain came to the realization that they were coming under attack from more than just a few sentries. It's a good thing that nothing significant occurred at that precise moment. At that moment, the captain became aware that their adversaries were waiting for them. They shot at each other in a short amount of time. As the captain continued to check on Smithan, he inquired as to whether or not he required morphine, but Smithan declined. They observed that Smithan had suffered damage to his organs and had lost a significant amount of blood. A soldier approached the captain and inquired about the actions that he intended to take regarding Smithan's predicament. He was informed by the captain that Smithan's injuries were severe and that they needed to retreat in order to successfully save him. The captain tries to talk to Smithan and asks him who he is, in response to which Smithan says God of Blackfield. An explosion occurred all of a sudden while they were conversing. Dairu was questioned by the captain about his well-being. The captain informed them that they needed to continue moving forward because they were not too far away from the headquarters of the enemy. As they were making their way through the ranks of the enemy, the captain was struck in the head by a bullet that came from behind. He pondered whether he had been betrayed or whether he had been shot by a sniper as he was being shot. Not only did he have a headache, but he was also parched. As soon as the captain regained consciousness, he became aware that he was being called by unknown individuals who were speaking Korean. It was beyond his comprehension as to why the individual was speaking Korean. Due to the fact that he was a young man, the attending physician stated that he had made a good recovery and requested that the nurse check his vital signs. The captain was taken aback and questioned where he was. The doctor replied that this was Set Bayal Hospital in Gangnam. The doctor then asks the nurse to call the guardian of the patient. The patient asked who brought him here, and the doctor said that 119 brought him here. Then the doctor told the nurse to take good care of him. It seems that he was confused after being unconscious for 3 days. He got angry, got up, and started walking from the bed. The doctor told him that he couldn't walk like this in this situation. The captain was so confused about what was going on here. The captain then realized, after staying in the hospital for a few more days, that his name is Kang Chan and he is 29 years old. He then began to think that he was a team instructor and captain of the French mercenary forces in 2016. When he got shot and lost consciousness during a mission in the African War, he said that it would be more accurate to say that he died in that war. Afterwards, he gained consciousness in 2019 in South Korea, where he was in the body of someone else who was in a coma for 3 days. He then realized that he had changed bodies with that person, but interestingly, this body's name was also Kang Chan. He was 19 years old and in his last year of high school. The person with whom the captain has changed bodies has jumped off the roof of the school he was attending, Shinmuk High School in Gangnam, and was in a coma for 3 days until he woke up. But he realized that, after a coma, he did not wake up, but rather the captain did. They were heading back home when the lady sitting next to him asked, "This is our house." Do you remember it? This lady was his mother, whose name was Yoo Hai-suk. The person sitting in the driver's seat says, "Don't rush." Even the doctor said that his memory should return if he rests well without being stressed. This man was Kang Dae-jiang, the father of that person. Then they head to apartment 701, which is the house of this person. The mother kept asking him if he remembered this place, but the father interrupted her and told him to take a rest. The mother kept worrying about her son, but his husband told her that everything would be okay. He went to his room and thought that this room was 100 times better than the commander's personal room. It was obvious that the kid was from a rich family. He then tried to access his computer, but there was a password on it. Then he says that he can use the internet on his phone, but there is also a password, so he scans his fingerprint and opens the phone. The captain tries searching for information about his death on the internet, but there are no results found. As he was using his mobile, a message popped up, and it was from a person called Lee Ho-jun, who asked him if he was discharged. He replied to him that yes, he was discharged. In response to this message, Lee Ho-jun sent him a message saying, why didn't he report that he was discharged? Chan got confused by seeing Lee Ho-jun messages because he didn't know if he was his friend or not. But the message he got from Lee Ho-jun made him think that he might not be his friend. He starts to ignore him and continue his research on the internet. Then he got a call from Lee Ho-jun, but he cut off the call by saying that he was busy. On this, Lee becomes furious. He says that he'll count till 5, and that he has to come out till his counting is over, but he hangs up on him and blocks his number. On this, Lee becomes angry, wondering how he could have blocked his number, and throws his phone on the floor. One of his friends asks why you threw away your mobile that you got only 2 months ago, but Lee Ho-jun just says that he will tell Chan to get a new mobile for him. His friends say, yeah, you have never bought anything with your own money. Lee Ho-jun angrily says that he dares Kang Chan to come to school. On the other side, Chan is still searching for information about his death, but he can't find any articles on that war in Africa. He thinks that it might be because of security reasons or some other special reason. Then he got up to search for a cigarette, and when he opened the bag, he saw many books and thought that he might be a real nerd. He kept on searching, and when he went to the bookshelf to search for a cigarette, he saw many things inside it. He picked up the diary from there and started reading, and he got to know that this kid, whose body he had transferred, was being bullied by Lee Ho-jun. He reads in that diary that this kid wants to kill those who bullied him. He thinks that if he wants to kill them, then you should have done it secretly. But at the end, he can't find any cigarettes, so he begins to think about what he has read recently, that this body is getting bullied, and he lay down on the bed and falls asleep. The next morning, his dad drove him to school. His dad told him to take care of him and don't do much hard work. His dad left after dropping him off at school. He doesn't know what or where his classroom is, so he thought that it would be nice to get some help. Someone calls him from behind Nag Chan. He started walking towards Kang Chan, and everyone seemed afraid of Lee. He angrily walks towards Kang Chan and says that he has gained extra balls of steel in the hospital. He asks, why didn't he tell him? Kang Chan reads his name on his uniform and gets to know that he is Lee Ho-jun. Lee angrily asked about yesterday's phone call, and in response, Chan laughed. After seeing this, Lee Ho-jun got furious. Kang Chan says he has found his assistant. Lee replied that because of him, he had to deal with his own lunches and cigarettes. Chan says that he smokes, then give him one. He repeats himself. On hearing this, Lee got furious and said that he was originally planning on being there until lunch break, but he had to give him some morning lessons to set his brain straight. Lee took him to the basketball hall and tried to punch him by saying that he had to go through many things in these last few days because he was not there, but before Lee had punched him, Chan punched him, and he fell to the ground. He then got onto him, and he thought that it would be problematic for him to kill Lee, so he just checked into his court to see if he had any cigarettes, but he didn't. Then Chan started talking to the kid, saying that if he was seeing them from somewhere, then let his mind be at ease. As he was talking, Lee stood up and tried to punch him from behind, but he missed it. Lee continues trying, but he missed all. Chan was curious about how he could have just stood up after he had punched him. Chan punched him back, and he thought that this wasn't his original body. Lee again stood up, and Chan continued to punch him until he fell down. There was blood on his hand, and Lee's mouth was full of blood. Then Chan remembered that he had class. When Chan was trying to find his class, a girl called him and asked that he get discharged. Kang Chan thinks that the girl looks like Snow White. Her name is Kim Mi-young. He thinks about his relationship with her. He thinks that, as it was his last year, so he doesn't need to be polite with her. The girl says that she is sorry that she didn't go to visit him. She was planning, but he got busy with cram school and all. The girl told him that everyone in the class was worried about him. Chan asks if he is in the same class as her, and this girl gets shocked and tells him that they are dating. He asked her to show him the class. They are in class at 3-2. He sits on his seat, which is besides the window, and he thinks it's the perfect spot to get snipped at. Someone entered the class. He was Lee Ho-jun. Everyone starts talking about what's wrong with Lee Ho-jun's face, but his classmates don't care because they think he probably had another fight with delinquents from another school. Chan got desperate after knowing that Lee was also in his class. Lee kept staring at Chan. Lee messaged his group that Kang Chan went crazy and they had to be free some time during the first period. The period begins, and the sports teacher gets the attendance of everyone. The teacher noticed the uniform of Chan that he was in rather than the sports clothes, but his girlfriend told the teacher that he was hospitalized and came back today. The teacher says that they can choose their activity however they want, but to be careful and don't hurt themselves. Kang Chan was sitting on the stairs, watching the other students play. Chan begins to think that he has no choice but to continue this lifestyle for today. But what should he do from now on? Lee approached him, told Chan that he couldn't let it go like this, and challenged him to change locations. Chan followed him. They reached there, where a group of Lee friends were waiting for them. One of his friends looks at Lee's face and says, "Has that Kang Chan done this to him?" They all get ready to fight Kang Chan and make a circle around him. Chan takes a look at them, smirks, and says that he is too lazy right now and they should all come together at him. One of them says that he alone is enough for him. As he comes closer to him to punch him, Chan punches him back and he falls to the ground. Everyone gets shocked, including Lee. Chan says that they should listen when a grown-up gives them advice. Chan says that each of them should aim for different spots. Then they decide who is going for legs and who is going for body and head, and Chan directs them that they should come from different angles and directions. As they all don't know how to fight, he would teach them. One of them shouts at everyone to get him, and they all attack him at once, but Chan fights them all back and punches all of them to the ground. One of them grabs him from behind his hair and says that he is finished now. Chan got curious that even this one stood up again after getting his punch. Lee was surprised at what exactly had happened. Lee thinks, is he really the sissy he knows? One of them takes out the knife, and Chan says that if he is not willing to put his life on the line, then don't use weapons. He attacks him with his knife, but Chan grabs his wrist and twists it until he begins to scream. Then Chan says to Lee that it's just two of them again, and Chan grabs the knife from the floor and says that it was his fault that he went easy on him this morning, that's why he could not wait another day, and had come for revenge, and he said that he would not make the same mistake again. He asks him whether he should lacerate him or break his bones. Lee got afraid and said that he was wrong and that he would not mess with him again. Chan said that he could if he was confident in himself. While they were talking, Chan saw the teacher, and the teacher said, "Stop it now." He got curious about how an ordinary school teacher got this close without getting detected. The teacher asks if he is Kang Chan and he has gotten the guess of the situation, but he should stop it now as he has long since exceeded the limit of the self-defense and kept glaring at the teacher, and the teacher says that if he goes any further than this, then he will get expelled. Even now, it's going to be hard for him to avoid severe punishment. Chan says that he also doesn't plan on attending school either way. The teacher says that he will deal with this situation and that he should go home now. If he has some evidence, he can use it to prove that he was being bullied by them. The teacher asks Kang Chan about where he learned to fight. Chan replied that it was from the internet, but the teacher did not believe it. The teacher curiously wonders, does everyone change this much after being on the verge of death? Chan leaves the school and thinks that this should be enough to satisfy his body's original owner. He keeps on going, but he doesn't know where he should go. Then he goes to the hair salon and gets a haircut. After the haircut, he looks like the original Kang Chan. Then he goes to a restaurant to eat. The restaurant owner welcomes him, and Chan orders one tonkatsu. While sitting on the chairs in the restaurant, he felt nostalgic. After waiting for some time, his order comes, and while eating, he takes a look at the airport ticket that is from Incheon Airport to Paris at 1910 on August 3rd. He starts to eat, but the taste isn't that good. While he was eating, his mother called him, and he picked up the call. Her mother asked him about what happened today at school and replied that he would tell her once he got home, but his mother says that she will pick him up, but Chan refuses and says that he'll tell her once he gets home. After the call, he puts his mobile on the table with anger and says that he is sure that he, the real owner of this body, would not have talked back like this, but it is better than committing suicide. Then he continues to eat tonkatsu. His father was angry at him for what he had done in school, but his mother told him not to become physical. His father says that their child's behavior has changed ever since he returned from death. Chan returned home, and his father asked him to sit there for a bit, but he did not listen and went straight into his room. On this, his father got furious, but her mother calmed him down. Chan, with some notebooks, came out of the room and told his parents that he had something to show them. His father asks what that was, but he says that you should have a look on your own. His mother and father took a look at those notebooks in which he had written all his thoughts about being bullied. They both started crying after reading them. His father asks if that was true. Then he says yes, and his father gets furious about why he didn't tell them anything before. He replies that he did not want them to worry and feels pathetic and embarrassed about him. Also, that's why he jumped off the roof. But when he wakes up, he realizes that all of his fears have vanished from this world, and his father understands everything and asks him if he regrets taking revenge on them. Her mother asks him if he was injured somewhere, but instead of telling the truth, he replies no. The father says that he will deal with today's incident himself, and he didn't have to worry about anything. She asks him to promise them that he will tell them if he gets tormented again, and Chan replies that this will not happen from now on. His father insists he promised them because they are his parents and they have the right to know. Mother also agreed with him and said that's right. His mother got emotional and started crying. Then Chan remembered his trauma when his father yelled at him to bring more alcohol, and his mother was trying to stop him. Then he says that he promised, and now he will go to his room and rest. His father got a call from their French correspondent because of a problem. He has been stuck at the customs office because the documents are missing. The mother asked what they should do. Father replies that they said that if they transfer 100,000 euros, then the local negotiators can find a solution. Mother says that 100,000 euros is about 130 million won. As their parents decided to send them money, Chan stopped them and said that he would talk to the manager and please put the manager on the phone for him. His father dialed the call and put it on speaker. The person from the other side says, "Boss, they are saying that if they don't make a deposit within the next 30 minutes, everything will be deposed. If they don't deal with this fast enough." Chan said that he wants to talk directly with the manager. The person asked, "Who was he?" "Wasn't he Kang Dae-jong?" He replies that he is his son. "Please put the manager on the phone quickly, they don't have time." His parents were confused about what he was trying to do. After a moment, managers spoke, and Chan said "allo" in French, and his parents got shocked and said that what is happening right now. Chan says goodbye in French, gives the phone back to his father, and says that they have found the missing document just now. That's why there would not be a problem getting through customs. The father becomes happy and says, "Great job." The negotiators do this from time to time, and Chan says that they would not do it now. Chan says that he told them that if this happened again, they would send Algerian mercenaries to destroy their workplace. On hearing this, his father got confused, and then Chan said that he was just joking. The mother asked out of curiosity where he had learned French because their school doesn't teach it, and he replied that he had learned it from the internet. Chan says that if there is nothing, he should go and rest in his room. His father gave him permission, and he went. Chan was lying on his bed, thinking that it looked like he would have to postpone the plan to return to France. and that his body is different from before, and the injury on his head has yet to completely heal. He also has his parents here, but then he says, "Don't think about unnecessary things once he is fully healed. He will have to leave without hesitation." The next day, sitting in his classroom, he thinks that he is fine with everything, but he doesn't want to go to this damn school. Chan was sleeping on his desk when Lee came to him and asked him to follow him. Chan had woken up and asked, "Haven't he fed up by now?" Lee replied that he would definitely slaughter him today. Chan told him to leave and went back to sleep. Then Lee said that he guesses that he doesn't care about Kim Mi-young then. At this point, Chan woke up and saw right in Lee's eyes. Lee laughed and confirmed, saying yes. Kim Mi-young. Chan sat up, folding his hands, and asked, "Who is she?" Everyone went blank-faced at his question. Lee tried to remind him about Kim Mi-young, saying she followed them to the rooftop right away when they mentioned his name. Chan, upon hearing this, stood up, remembering she was his girlfriend. Angry, he demanded to know where she was. Lee smirked and led him to the rooftop, where a gang of people stood with basketball bats with nails, a pipe, and a stick. The gang, who had been beaten by Chan before, looked at him and smirked. One of them said they were extra careful in preparing for today. A group of girls was also there, chit-chatting. Chan asked why the girls were there. One of the girls stepped forward and mockingly asked if he wanted a BJ. Chan told the girls to leave. The girl stepped forward again, angrily asking who he thought he was. Chan slapped her, and she fell to the ground. Everyone behind her seemed shocked. The girl, with tears in her eyes, looked at him furiously. Chan told her to get lost or she would die. The gang silently watched from behind. Lee said they would make Chan pay for that, then told the girl to go down and close the door. The girl stood up, saying that they should make him pay the full price, and left. Chan asked about Kim Mi-young. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Kim Mi-young entered, and her classmate, worried, asked where she had been. She replied that she was on her way to school and had missed the usual bus. She asked if someone was looking for her. The girl, speechless, stared at the roof. Mi-young joined her in staring at the roof of the class. On the rooftop, Lee told Chan he had been tricked, and there was no Mi-young there. He mocked Chan for acting like a prince coming to save Snow White, and they all laughed. Chan, imagining Mi-young as Snow White, said there was nothing to worry about now and started walking towards the door. The gang surrounded him, holding sticks, pipes, and bats with nails. Chan glared at them. Lee smirked, asking if he was afraid to jump off again. Chan replied that Lee was really cocky for someone his age. This angered Lee. Chan asked if they were responsible last time. Lee, provokingly, said Chan didn't remember. Even though they hadn't hit him yet, he had begged for his life and fallen off on his own. They all laughed, which made Chan mad. He said they should have said so earlier. Lee said today would be different, with the strongest guys in Korea gathered to deal with him. One of them, taller and scarier, stood in front of Chan, mocking him, and touched his hair. Chan, with angry expressions, twisted the man's hand from his hair and hit him in the mouth, causing him to fall. Everyone was shocked, and Lee, scared, ordered everyone to attack Chan. On Lee's order, everyone ran towards Chan with their bats and sticks. One by one, Chan punched them and knocked them down with his legs. They started bleeding from their mouths and noses. One person with a knife tried to attack Chan from behind, but Chan twisted his hand, causing the knife to fall, and the person screamed. After dealing with everyone, Lee was left standing alone on the rooftop. Chan called out to Lee Ho-jun and said it was just them once again. The whole gang was scattered on the ground as Chan walked towards Lee, who was scared and asked for help from the teacher. Chan was surprised to see the teacher, confused that it was the same sports teacher from before. The teacher told Chan to stop. Chan thought this man definitely wasn't an average school teacher. The teacher asked Lee if he was Lee Ho-jun. Lee, scared but relieved, replied yes. The teacher yelled at him, saying he would deal with him later, and told him to take his guys and leave. Lee smiled, thinking he was saved, and helped his members leave. Only the teacher and Chan were left on the rooftop. The teacher lit a cigarette, saying he couldn't wait another day to get back to him. Chan asked how the teacher knew they were on the rooftop. The teacher replied that Kim Mi-young told him. The teacher, exhaling smoke, said the situation was not okay and that Chan would regret everything in the future. Chan suspected the teacher was his military companion, Ye-ru, and wondered if it was a coincidence or if the same thing had happened to him. To be certain, Chan called out, "Oi!" The teacher was surprised and asked what he had just said. They began to fight, initially missing punches but fighting like professional military officers. The teacher wondered how a high schooler could fight like this. The teacher asked Chan who he was, and Chan replied. Who could he be? The teacher, shocked, asked again, and Chan demanded. Who could he be? The teacher furiously said to say the rest, and Chan replied, God of. The teacher completed, Blackfield. The teacher remained shocked, and Chan felt satisfied because he realized the teacher was his companion. In the counseling room, Chan asked if he was really Dayu and why his Korean was so good. Dayu replied that he had no idea. The scene then shifted to an African war, where the captain got shot and fell. Dayu said he had followed right after they wiped the floor with him. He hesitantly woke up in his bed, and when he opened his eyes he was in Korea, speaking Korean naturally. Back in the counseling room, Chan asked if he had a cigarette, but the teacher told him they couldn't smoke there. Chan looked discreetly and asked again, raising his hand to check if he had a secret, and the teacher agreed to give him one. But then he changed his mind, saying it didn't make sense for a teacher to give a cigarette to a student. Chan asked if he was really going to treat him like a high school student. The teacher replied that no matter how old his mind was, his body was still that of a high school student, and even if he boiled or grilled him alive, he wouldn't give him a cigarette. Desperate, Chan promised he would not smoke anymore. They both smiled at each other. Chan then started to think that Seo Kango was Dairu and that his reincarnation happened around the same time. Jokingly, he asked if Dairu enjoyed being in his wife's arms while he was defenseless in the hospital. The teacher replied that it was a lot better than being hospitalized. Chan became angry and was about to say something when the teacher told him to be quiet, as someone might hear them. The teacher reminded him that he was a student, and Chan smirked, saying not to mess with him. The teacher asked why he kept aggravating the situation now that he was reincarnated and advised him to attend school peacefully. Chan replied, asking what he should do when they come for him, saying he didn't enjoy fighting kids and had no intention of staying in school. He would soon return to France. The teacher, shocked, asked if he was going to return to the hellhole he had finally managed to escape. Chan angrily replied that there was a traitor among them, and if he didn't find out who it was, their squad members would have died for nothing. The room went silent. The teacher sighed and said if that was the case, they should go together during the vacations. Chan smiled and said they weren't going for a picnic. The teacher, desperate, said he knew he was as serious as him about this matter. Chan sarcastically suggested staying and dealing with the ill-mannered students. The teacher replied that he had finished his preparations and was about to deal with them once and for all. Chan laughed, questioning preparations against mere kids. The teacher asked if he hadn't noticed anything while fighting them earlier. Chan's face went blank, and he put his hand on his chest. The teacher continued, asking if their weapons weren't excessive for a fight between kids. Chan replied that they weren't really armed with firearms. The teacher, shocked, asked if he was really born in Korea, stating that ordinary delinquents never used big carving knives or bats with nails. Chan, not understanding the seriousness, responded blankly. The teacher, helpless, tried to make him understand and finally said there was a criminal organization backing those kids. Chan replied, an organization. Though it wasn't completely confirmed, the possibility was high. Chan replied that he would deal with them before the vacations or go to France together. The teacher, furious, said he wasn't joking. Chan relaxed, said they would continue the conversation later, then stood up and asked for a good word with the infirmary. He left the counseling room, saying he would take a nap until school ended. The teacher seemed worried. In the infirmary room, Chan was sleeping peacefully when someone entered. Chan angrily asked what he wanted. It was Lee, who seemed scared of Chan and apologized for disturbing him. He had snacks in his hand and gave them to Chan. Chan didn't understand why he was given snacks. Lee explained that the first and second year students would come to greet him after their classes ended, as he was now the school's boss. Chan angrily told him to get lost, and Lee hesitantly apologized and left. Chan seemed puzzled, not understanding what had just happened. It was a peaceful evening with a red sky as the sun set. Chan walked down the stairs of his school, and everyone seemed scared of him as he walked through the corridor. His girlfriend, standing outside the classroom with a bag in her hand, was waiting for him. She glanced at him, smiled, and pushed her hair behind her ears. Chan stood with a blank face. She handed over his bag and asked about his health. Chan angrily took the bag and told her not to bother him. She looked surprised and sad at his behavior. As they were talking, someone from behind called Kang Chan. Turning, they saw it was the gang of girls from the rooftop whom Chan had slapped. Yinsil told Chan to come with them as some people wanted to see him. Chan, tense, said it was a joke and left with his girlfriend Mei Yong. The girl, angry, ground his teeth. She called them from behind, but they didn't listen and continued to walk. Chan and his girlfriend walked out of the school and into the parking lot. The girl mentioned that it looked like Yinsil was targeting him. Chan, not understanding, was told to be careful as there were rumors she slept with guys everywhere. Chan thought that wasn't something to be careful about and that she would be traumatized when she saw how Westerners act. Meanwhile, Mayang worried that Chan was in danger. In front of their school, 4 guys with scary faces stood next to a car. One held a phone and another smoked a cigarette. The guy with the phone looked at a picture of Kang Chan and confirmed it was him. They called out to Chan. Chan knew it and thought that they are those about whom Dayiru mentioned. His girlfriend, afraid, told him not to go and grabbed his coat. He reassured her that it was all right and approached them. They asked if he was Kang Chan, and he replied yes, asking why they wanted to know. One of them commented that he was as insolent as they had heard. Chan thought it wouldn't be too dangerous if they fought. They stood in the parking lot, and the other students seemed terrified. Chan glanced at his girlfriend and said the location wasn't right for fighting. They told him they weren't there to fight and gestured towards the car, saying they needed to talk. Chan angrily replied, what the person from behind, smoking a cigarette, came forward, put his hands in Chan's hair, and mocked him. Chan, with anger, told him to take his hands off. The person, furious and still with the cigarette in his mouth, said he was planning on being nice because Chan was just a kid. As he said this, Chan forcefully removed his hand, grabbed his head, and punched him, causing the cigarette to fall. He then grabbed the person by the collar and threw him to the ground with full force. The surrounding students, shocked and terrified, started recording the fight on their phones. One of the guys angrily told the students to put their phones away and smashed one student's phone on the ground. Everyone was scared and put their phones away. Another person took out a knife from his coat and Chan, ready to fight, took off his school bag. Their boss told him not to use the knife in front of the school and to keep it reasonable, just making sure Chan couldn't mess with them for the rest of the day. The guys agreed and replied yes, so 2 of them approached Chan, surrounding him from the front and back. Chan thought they were good at positioning themselves and definitely different from other ill-mannered kids. One of them launched a punch with full force, but Chan countered and took him to the ground. The other guy attacked from behind, but Chan defended himself. They started fighting professionally. As Chan stood, the guy from behind tried to punch him again, but Chan hit him, drawing blood from his nose and mouth. The other person attacked from behind, but Chan kicked and punched him. Chan realized these adults were different, and it was difficult to fight them with his current body. As he stood, the guy from behind kicked him. Chan thought that Dayiru would have mocked him if he had seen him fighting like this. One of the guys suggested Chan come with them, as they hadn't come to fight. Chan, still angry, replied that he didn't care why they were there, but he wasn't in the mood to follow them. They all looked at her angrily as she told the police about the location. The guy said it was annoying and they were leaving for today, but he would remember this. Chan replied that the next time they came, he would break their arms. The guys left in their cars. Mei Yong sighed with relief and suggested they leave. Chan agreed, saying it would be troublesome if they got questioned by the police. She revealed that she had pretended to call the police, thinking he wouldn't want to be bothered by them. He smiled and said she was smart. Chan saw Yinsil standing on the other side of the road and went towards her, warning her to rely on her own power. If she depended on others, they would take advantage of her and discard her. Yinsil, angry, tried to push him, asking who he thought he was to talk to her like that. Chan walked away, ignoring her shouts. As he left with his girlfriend, he thought that his body was really innocent. Even though he didn't get hurt that badly, the damage was significant. Mei Yong asked if he was in pain and if she should call an ambulance, but he replied that it was fine and suggested they go eat. He asked if she liked tonkatsu, and she happily replied that she did. The next morning, the teacher was delivering a lecture in the classroom. Chan sat at his desk with a desperate look on his face. His girlfriend, who was sitting next to him, told him the class had ended. As soon as the class ended, he put his head on the desk and said, jokingly, he would rather pick up a gun and fight on a battlefield. Some students approached them, and Chan asked what they wanted. They told him they were second-year and first-year students and handed him a weekly payment envelope. Chan, angry, asked who ordered them to do this. It was seemingly Lee who told them to do this. Chan told them to return it and not listen to Lee anymore, advising them not to move around in a big group. They bowed and said, "Yes, sir," before leaving. Another student came and told Chan that the teacher had asked for him in the counseling room. Chan realized that Dairu had called him. Dairu was sitting on the sofa, with one hand on his cheek and the other on his leg, waiting for him. The PE teacher, Dairu, says that he heard Chan was in another fight yesterday. Rumors spread so quickly. Dairu tells him to stop getting into trouble, he's not even a kid anymore. Chan replies sarcastically, asking if Dairu, who got into the most trouble back in Africa, is saying that. The teacher reminds him that this isn't Africa, they are in Korea, where there are security cameras and smartphones everywhere, and the police can arrive within 5 minutes. He warns Chan that he might get expelled at this rate. Chan, not caring, says that wouldn't be too bad, as he would be able to return to Africa immediately. The teacher, frustrated, calls him stubborn and asks him to listen to a request before he ends up leaving. Chan asks what it is. The teacher says there are first-year students in the school who are being severely bullied and asks Chan to look after them. Chan, surprised, replies that if he does that, things will get even worse for them after he leaves, advising not to interfere too much in their lives. The teacher gets an idea and offers to allow Chan to skip class. Feeling motivated, Chan asks how that would work. The teacher explains that he would only need to attend morning classes if he registered as a special student athlete. Even if he slept during class, the teachers wouldn't bother him. He also needs to work out, and if he went back to Africa in his current state, he wouldn't survive for a week. Chan thinks about the idea and agrees. In the corridor, Yoon-sul approaches Chan, saying they need to talk. Chan ignores her and walks into the class. She shouts, asking why he is ignoring her and showing what happened to her because of him. Chan asks what happened, and Yoon-sul replies that those guys from yesterday fight. Chan, furious, tells her to come with him. Mi-young watches them leave the class. They go to the rooftop, and Chan asks her to tell him the story. She explains that the guys told her to bring him to them, where they would cut off Jun's tongue, ship him off to some island, and she would be sold to a brothel. Chan suggests telling the police since they are just 5 minutes away. With teary eyes, Yoon-sul says that if she does that, they will come after her family. She offers to do anything he wants if he meets them. Chan asks if she is sure about anything. She nervously agrees, closing her eyes as Chan approaches. He thinks she is just like the others. Chan rubs his hands on her face and tells her to wash her face, avoid wearing makeup, and wear her uniform properly. The girl is surprised by his words. Chan reminds her that she said she would do anything. He then tells her to call the guys right now. She hesitates, but agrees, taking out her mobile phone and dialing the number. The guy on the other side is shocked that she called first and mocks her. Chan grabs the phone and tells the guy it's him, Kang Chan. The guy on the other side says she must have explained everything to him and tells Chan where they are, demanding he come right now. Chan replies that he is busy until the weekend and suggests meeting on Monday. The guy angrily says Chan is not in a position to negotiate, but Chan insists, saying he will hang up otherwise. The guy on the other side of the phone looked at a guy who was sitting with a girl, smoking a cigarette in the bar, but his face was not clear, gives him a signal with his hand. The guy reluctantly agrees and warns Chan not to run away. Chan assures him he won't run and tells them to stop bothering the girl, as she has nothing to do with them. Kaya, shocked and in tears, thanked him. Chan returns her phone and says he is leaving. Yoon-sul stops him and asks for his phone number, saying she might become helpful to him for something. Chan smirks, thinking that if Smeathan were alive, they would have been soulmates. He tells her it's fine, and she can meet him on Monday after school, then leaves. In the evening, Chan walks through the school, thinking about France, working out, the bullied students, Hyo Yoon-sul, and gangsters. He wonders why things are so complicated when it has only been a few days since he woke up. Mi-young calls him from behind, and he thinks, Snow White, she also. They started walking on footpath together. As they were walking, Mi-young looked at him and asked him if he likes Yoon-sul, and Chan, surprised, asked why. Mi-young explains that she saw them together earlier and says she feels insecure because she can't even put on makeup like Yoon-sul to look pretty. Chan, confused, replies that there is nothing going on between him and Yoon-sul, and they just talked about yesterday's fight. Mi-young, excited, asks if he doesn't have a crush on her. Chan, with a blank face, asks why he would have a crush on her. Mi-young seems relieved, and Chan wonders why she is talking about such rubbish. Then he realizes this and asks her if she likes him. Mei Yong, shy and blushing, looks away and hides her face with her hands. Her face flushed red with embarrassment. Chan, looking desperate, says that he is 29 and she knows it. Mei Yong stands there peeking at him from behind her hands, embarrassed.